Glover?
Huh?
Is it because of Donald Glover?
Oh, it's all about Allison Brie.
Yeah.
Yeah, High five.
Yeah.
Did you see that picture I sent Journal of her as Captain America?
Yeah, I saw that. That and the Iron Man.
What?
Yeah.
Allison Brie photoshopped into Captain America.
Oh,
it was like a sexy Captain America outfit.
Oh, I was like hoping she actually like wore like a sexy version of somebody's Photoshop.
It looked pretty good though.
Photoshop's not sexy.
What?
Photoshop's fake.
No, it's great.
What was it? That and the Iron Man costume, right?
Only sad souls like Janelle would find
Did you see that one?
sexy.
Oh.
They found a candidate for She-Hulk.
Really?
Beyonce.
Yeah, Beyonce. Oh, yeah, that was awesome. All right, let's get this show rolling. So. Hey everybody, welcome back to That Soul, the show that unites a unique group of individuals to discuss all things geek. I'm your host, Jordan Wade. With the return of the once canceled Arrested Development, it has discussing about which shows we would like to be brought back. So this episode we will talk about shows that we feel ended prematurely. So this week with me I have Miss Kelly CK.
Hello.
Marcus, the only Tigger. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. You?
Good. You looking nice with that big bushy beard there.
I know, it's been like months.
I know, it's...
Ever since November.
It's getting pretty epic.
Yeah.
Just kept it going.
And of course, our great Brian McValls.
I like turtles.
Okay. I'm glad we're staying, current with that one. So, as I said, this week we're going to discuss about shows that we felt ended prematurely, and I kind of want to throw this to you, Brian, first, because you seem to be pretty passionate about a few different shows that ended far too soon.
Yeah, I got a couple I can throw out there. I was a Stargate fan. It's not a secret. So I feel like SyFy has this inkling to cut shows off before their time is due, and Atlantis didn't get a proper ending. Still to this day, Stargate Atlantis does not have an ending. It's kind of left on a cliffhanger. And also Stargate Universe, as it seemed to me that the show was finally starting to find its footing and get up off the ground. It was in season 2, and then they cut it just as it was getting really interesting. So those would be two big examples for me. And I hear little rumors here and there that the Stargate franchise might come back. I mean, you hear that from a lot of franchises these days.
Well, I'm surprised it never went back into another movie, because obviously the show first started off as a film, and I saw it as a really young kid, and it wasn't, to be honest, I felt it was really out there, so I never did go visit a show or anything like that. I was afraid it was going to be too sci-fi for me, I guess, if that's an actual term. But do you feel the show could have continued on, and do you think you could see it maybe being done in a film, or
they did venture into the DVD, straight to DVD market. The only reason they made 2 SG-1 movies, and that's where it stopped, because they were saying that with the economy the way it was, the DVD straight to film market kind of flatlined. Okay. It wasn't profitable, so they haven't pursued that route recently. I don't know. I think the show had endless possibilities. It was a show about exploring the galaxy. If it's something out there, you can find it. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and I think that Stargate is such a big property as it is. I have a feeling we'll someday see another version of it. Unfortunately, it might not be the continuation of the shows you've seen, but I mean, the hope is that maybe it can, like Star Trek, reinvent itself over and over again.
Yeah, well, that's interesting you say that, because they just released recently a trailer for, it's going to be a mobile app game. Okay. But they got the voice acting, they got Richard Dean Anderson to come back, and several of the other voice actors, Michael Shanks, and they were the veterans on SG-1, so they'll be giving their voice acting to the app. So
well, that should satiate the audience for at least a little bit, hopefully. Marcus, I know there's a couple shows you would like to see brought back as well. What are some examples you'd like to see?
Probably most prominent is going to be Terriers.
Okay.
A series created by Ted Williams, I want to say it was, but series was really, really good because of the buddy cop detective agency kind of thing that they were doing. Ex-cop and an ex-convict get together and form their own detective agency. They had really good chemistry with each other and joked around a lot. One of the more memorable quotes was going to be guy's searching through a phone, he finds it, and he's like, "Hey, there's porn on this phone." and the buddy answers back, he's like, "I porn," and he's like, "You what?" So I mean, it was just it was one of those shows that I just really got into, and midway into the season they found out it was going to get canceled. and it really forced them to leave the series on a cliffhanger.
So the show wasn't about dogs then?
No, totally not. Well, there was a bulldog in the show,
which isn't exactly a terrier.
Yeah, not exactly.
Right.
It got passed around, but it was more about how they latched onto the case like that they were covering, and they wouldn't let go of it, kind of like how you would like with the terrier. Like once they latch on, they lock in. And
I got the metaphor for it, but I wonder if there was enough like people out there like, I'm not going to watch some stupid show about some little dogs, some yappy dogs.
And I think with the title, it did like alienate a lot of the audience that they could have had, but being that they didn't get the support that was garnered of the show. I mean, critically acclaimed, but like the general public just didn't get it, didn't watch it.
And recently it seems like I think I remember reading that it was teased that maybe Netflix or some other streaming service would pick up Terriers and bring it back, because there is a following for the show, but it seemed to kind of die just as quickly as it was brought up. But
yeah, I've seen that they've put it on Netflix a few times, to I guess maybe spark interest, like the actual season, the only season that there was, but I just don't know if it was relevant long enough for it to stick around. But it was definitely one of my favorite shows come out in a while.
Okay.
I read your blog every morning on my Kindle. Now that piece that you did about the sushi restaurant serving the whale meat, that made me throw up. Kudos.
Thanks.
Also, probably another show would be Deadwood.
Ooh, Deadwood. I haven't seen it, but I hear there's a strong fan following for that one.
Definitely a really good Western. Featured some of the more notable historic figures, like you had like Wild Bill, Calamity Jane was featured in the series, and it goes into just a lot of the stuff that would happen during like I want to say it was the 1870s in these little backwoods towns, and just like the lawlessness of the Wild West, and that's something that's always resonated with me as far as just that era is something that I really enjoyed, and it didn't stick around long enough. But
it must have been a decent looking show, because I believe the budget is what ended up killing it off. So
they definitely put through a lot into the budget and probably wasted it on like big set pieces and just the big action stuff that would happen in the series. But it was definitely one that, looking back on it, is probably something that I don't want brought back, because it did end on a good note, even though it did at the time end too soon.
Right. So though it got canceled, it seemed like it ended at a decent point, and like a series you would hope would end well. It keeps you wanting to come back for more. But,
right.
So I guess that'll be left for fan fiction or whatever, some dialogue that they don't want to write.
Dirty clutches of fan fiction.
Yeah. Right. Pornographic westerns and whatnot.
Yeah, we don't need another 50 Shades of Grey.
Westernized. Kelly, is there some shows that you wish could be brought back?
I guess it wouldn't be so much brought back, but maybe a show that could do a sort of more My So-Called Lifestyle show. Obviously it was made in 94, 95, so I didn't watch it when it was being aired, but I watched it in high school. And what was so interesting to me was the fact that even me watching it in high school, like years and years later, it was still so relevant to me, and I really felt like these things were real problems. Like I related so much to Claire Danes' character and just all the stuff happening around her. Whereas I feel like nowadays you see teen shows like that, like Gossip Girl and The Secret Life of the American Teenager, it didn't feel the same. They're so completely unrealistic. The dialogue's awful. It's just all around they make awful shows for teenagers and young girls and boys nowadays, and I feel like it had one season. It has such a huge cult following, and it's kind of surprising that no one's tried to make a show like that.
Well, girls love their reality TV, like Teen Mom and Jersey Shore. I mean, that's great programming, and it's all exciting.
That's probably the difference. Yeah, they just would much rather watch that, which is kind of sad, because I still love that show, even though it was only a season. But I felt like it really resonated with me more so than any other teen drama show that I ever really watched. So that's something I would definitely like to see come back. I mean, it ended on a cliffhanger. You don't know if Claire Danes and Jared Leto stayed together, so you want to find out. So I guess might as well be left to fan fiction.
Fan fiction. Fan fiction's the answer for everything, in my opinion. So everything can live on forever. You can have multiple seasons.
Yeah.
Stargate fan fiction.
Sometimes it lives on too long.
There's got to be Stargate
when
fan
you
fiction.
go out there and you find erotic DuckTales fan fiction.
Ooh.
You cross the line at some point.
Are you saying you searched for
No,
that?
I'm just saying.
Illustrations too?
I'm just saying, it stuff's out there, all right? There's some awful fan fiction out there.
Can we
go somewhere? Sure.
Well, I'm going to kind of switch gears here and go to the other side of things and stuff that doesn't need fan fiction because maybe it went on far too long. There are shows we know that do kind of overstay their welcome, and I'm curious to see. I'm going to first shoot it to Marcus. Is there a show that you felt went on far too long?
Simpsons.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with you.
It's the longest running show. I mean, you got to end it somewhere.
It's in the 20s now. I think we're like 23 or something like that.
Yeah, that show's
We have
1989, 88.
That's when it started.
Is that when it started?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Something
mean,
like
I'm going to have to sort of disagree with y'all because to me, I feel like The Simpsons sort of went into a second era. I mean, it did have a little lapse there. I believe they say around season 10 or something like that.
For about 10 years?
No, probably a season, maybe 2. But I feel like the show did sort of reinvent itself and realize that they, Fernando, who works for the website, he's a big fan of the show, and he said they decided that, for the longest time, their rule was not to be too cartoony. It was to make it sort of a realistic family. But then when they realized you've kind of exhausted all the storyline possibilities, you realize you kind of got to switch it up and kind of go more, hyper-realistic and stuff like that and be more cartoony. And I feel like though the show is not as heartwarming and as heartfelt, for lack of a better term, as it was before, I think now it's kind of got the second one as a show that's more delved deeper in pop culture. So, I mean, it's not for everybody, obviously. I mean, there are people that are going to wax nostalgic about, the first 9 seasons or maybe seasons like 2 through 8 or something like that, because that was the golden age, the golden age of Simpsons. But I mean, I do understand where people are like, I want it to end because the Simpsons is just not the same. But I do feel like there's still some life left in that show.
There's definitely people who still watch it, and at this point, like you said, I haven't seen any of the newer episodes, so I couldn't judge it myself. But if it has started to find a second footing and it's captured audience again, well, why not? But for me, when it hit the 10th, 11th, 12th season, I remember during that period trying to watch the show and just realizing how bad it had gotten, where every episode was just about the celebrity cameo that week. Or I don't know. There just seemed to be a lot of like miscellaneous plot lines about minor characters. Like you'd have an episode about Mo, running his bar or something. Like I don't even have a good example for you at the moment, but it kind of just ran its course. I think at some point.
And I mean, really, I think we could discuss The Simpsons for multiple episodes by itself.
Yeah, I'm wondering on the similar spectrum if any of y'all feel like South Park should end, because that's another one that's kind of gone on forever, and it's still going on. I'm pretty sure. Right?
I still like the show. I still like the show, and the fact that they're able to stay relevant with current event topics is something that helps keep them fresh. I mean, as long as they're able to keep the chemistry that they have as far as like working in those current events and making it relevant and still funny. I think the show can go on indefinitely, but as with everything, it should come to an end at some point.
I think that's a really special example of a show because, in my opinion, I thought the first 3, 4, 5 seasons were awful. Most of them had to deal with their hick town, and there wasn't really much going on. I don't know. It was a lot of shock humor, like sex jokes and like cursing and stuff. That it was trying to make its establish its reputation with that kind of humor.
Yeah.
And then it got more creative and got, started doing these, like you said, pop culture pieces. And it was really, to this day, they make the episode in like a week. It's an amazing.
Yeah, that's what's nice because they can really stay up to
It's
date.
probably the most amazing production process probably across any TV show because the way they're just able to spit them out. And and it does stay relevant, but it's one of those things where I feel like South Park's sort of a holy grail in sort of a way, like, because it's become so important to me for so long. It's like, I don't want Trey Parker and Matt Stone to go away. I want them to stay involved, but at the same time, I would like to see them branch out and do other things. I know they tried other things in television, but they found more success, like obviously on Broadway with the Book of Mormon and movies like with Team America, World Police.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them branch out more and do more things like that. And if South Park's sort of holding them back, I wonder how much life that show has left in it.
I agree. I think if Matt Stone and Trey Parker could, focus their energies on other projects and they were just as good, I would say go with it. It's like you said, South Park can't last forever.
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was, how would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Casey?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Another show I think has gone on too long. Not so much South Park, but I think Family Guy is definitely one that needs to end. It's gone on for too long. I've watched this season, and it's really not funny anymore. So I think it's one of those cases where I feel like Seth MacFarlane, he's branching out. He did Ted. He wants to do this Western now. I think he needs to stop Family Guy and work on doing his other projects. I think he's kind of exhausted.
I think he stretched himself too thin.
Yeah.
Because he's working on Family Guy. They got American Dad.
He's got 3 animated shows
Cleveland
on Fox.
show.
Yeah, that's right.
Between those 3 shows, there's only so much humor you can get out of your brain.
And they're all similar styles too, so it's sort of like with CSI. You know, CSI ended up having like 3 different shows, and it makes you wonder how many crime scenes you can investigate. And then with Family Guy, it makes you wonder how many of those episodes you can do across 3 different shows that have the same humor.
Not only that, but I kind of get annoyed with him trying to push his agendas through the episodes a lot of times. I mean, you watch these kind of shows to be humored in a lot of ways. And I don't know, just keep the politics out of it. I don't know.
Or if you're going to do politics, do something like South Park, where it's like equal opportunity. You know, they're not pushing too far to either side. They're bashing both sides.
Yeah, they bash everyone. Like,
right.
Everything's fair ground with them, but you know, there's only so much you can hear Seth MacFarlane bash the right or bash religious people or whatever. You know, do something else, I guess.
Yeah.
Moving out of the realm of animation, I know there's some live-action television shows that Brian felt may have gone on too long. Something with a character named Jack Bauer, possibly.
Yes, 24. I think ran its course. 24. Now the show's over now, of course.
Right.
But you know, you had some amazing moments in this show, 24. The first few seasons were great. You know, every once in a while you have some bad plot lines. But, you know, you hit the 5th season, which was amazing. If you haven't seen 24, I would recommend watching it. And
I hear there's a pretty good drinking game for it, too.
There are many drinking games.
Every time they show the clock, take a shot.
Well, I never watched a show, but I heard there's a point where his daughter battles a certain sort of...
Yeah, well, they came up with these plot lines like, all right, first season, his daughter's kidnapped.
Yeah.
You know, it's about him trying to save his daughter and deal with a presidential assassination attempt.
That seems fine enough.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Now, second season, you know, his daughter's the eye candy. You know, Kim Bauer, she's running around in a tank top.
Alicia Cuthbert, yeah.
Yeah, Alicia Cuthbert, you know. So they're trying to find a way to shoehorn her into the season.
Right.
And, you know, they have her, me and Mike, we call it the Wild Adventures of Kim. It's almost like a spin-off, because she's running around in the wilderness. She gets caught in a bear trap. She gets chased by a cougar.
Wait, legitimately a bear trap?
It's a bear trap. She gets caught in a bear trap, chased by a cougar. She meets a hermit who locks her up in his bomb shelter. And then she's going to get help, and she walks into a grocery store that's being robbed. It's like, and this is supposed to take place in like real time.
It's all in one day.
So it's like every hour, something extraordinarily crazy is happening to this girl. It just makes no sense.
She lived like a whole life within 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She had more problems that day than I've had my entire life. I don't know. So, but yeah, no. Going on, like season 5 had some huge, let's say, cast reductions. So you know, you have this. The cast has drastically changed,
right?
And after season 5, it seems like it lost its direction.
Okay.
And yeah, it went on for 6, 7, 8, and I didn't care much for those seasons.
It went on for 8 seasons.
It went on for 8 seasons.
So
So
I didn't realize that.
I feel like it should have ended around 5, maybe 1 season more to close it up. But and now you know you have open plot lines still, but I don't think that the writing can. You know,
there's only so far you can go with the show where a guy is tackling things in a 24-hour period. You know?
Exactly.
So
worst day in human life.
Worst day in human life, indeed.
You know, it's funny you say that because that's how his prologue starts in the first season. It's like, I'm Jack Bauer, and this is the worst day of my life.
Does that happen every season?
Each season. It's worse every season.
Does he start each season that way?
No, but he should.
Well, I think we can agree that there are some shows that should continue on and some shows that should die out a little quicker than they do. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up today. That's all we have for this week's episode. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at Ultness and visit our website, ultness.com. And please leave comments about the shows you wish could return or shows you wish could die a quicker death. Tune in next time when we discuss movie theater etiquette as well as our best and worst movie-going experiences. As always, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time on That's Ult.
Indeed. You guys know, I wanted to bring up too, just in case any snarky asshole has a comment on YouTube, that we didn't talk about Firefly because we thought it was implied, and that everybody knows Firefly should have never been canceled.
Very true.
Yeah,
very true.
Just want to throw that out there.
Why should it never been canceled?
Good. It was good.
You're fired.
I haven't watched it.
Soon. I know he hasn't seen it.
Really? What?
No.
That's like
Mike forced me to
sacred.
watch it before I left.
happened. I was at a party one time, and this drunk girl was hungry. She got a hot dog out of the fridge, and she put it on a styrofoam plate and put that in the oven.
No.
And the plate rolled up around the hot dog, and
Did she still eat it?
She didn't eat it, but I was like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like,
I was trying to make a hot pocket.
What the hell is
like styrofoam kolache.
Oh, we should have saved this for the end of the show. Damn it!
We still can.
You can.
Are you still recording it anymore?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Oh, that's massive.
Good, good. It's massive. It's huge.